What is up, Delaware County, and welcome back for episode number 55 of Delco Baseball Now. That guy is Ben Thorpe. My name is Brendan Ricciardi. Unfortunately, we are not in the studio again this week. Shout out producer Rob. He's on vacation, but we will be back next week and for the foreseeable future. So just bear with us for one more week here as we get things going. But I don't know about you, Ben. This kind of felt like the first real week of the season. Like every team was playing conference games, and it just feels like now the fun starts.
Yeah, for sure. That was I don't know, definitely felt like I agree with you. There's definitely like a lot of conference games. I think that was a lot of just games in general. I mean, we've got a couple teams that 4 or 5 games this week. But yeah, it feels like we're like really in it now.
Yeah, because when we were trying to do all these power rankings, it was hard when teams like Bonner and Marple went down, down south. Like they didn't play too many games up here until the conference games started. So we're trying to figure out in the power rankings how to compare like a 10-0 team like Episcopal to a team like Bonner that we know is going to be talented, but they hadn't really played yet. So it's kind of a weird dynamic. But now everyone is underway and we are able to get started. But before we talk about the high school action, we got to talk about our Delco Baseball Now Blue Jays, the future of Delco Baseball. So for anyone who did not hear our last episode, we have bought a team in Media Little League. It's in the National League, so they are mostly in like second or third grade, like 8 to 9. We got to go to the opening ceremonies. That was on Saturday at Media. That was in the morning. I got to go to the game in the afternoon as well. So check out this video of the boys winning in extra innings against the Pirates to get to 2-2. Just an absolutely electric environment. I remember we were tied going into extras. Our boy Connor hit a 2-run double to take the lead. So it's a weird time. So this is when they go. This is the year they go from the machine pitch to the kid pitch. So early in the season, for the sake of A, speeding up games, and B, to get like kids kind of warmed up, they do the machine pitch for the first 3 innings, then the kids pitch for the next 3, and then later in the season they just take out the machine entirely.
Yeah, that's interesting. We always did like just straight machine pitch and then the kid pitch. But honestly, I kind of like that of like easing yourself into it instead of just like straight up like going. But,
and it's nice. It's nice because, like some of the kids, obviously first time pitching on the mound, like there aren't that many strikes at times. It's kind of to speed the game up, especially when it's cold in the regular season, like in the early parts of the season to get going. And every team makes the playoffs. Like it's just kind of to get everybody comfortable with pitching on a mound. But great kids, great coaches. Glad to be a Blue Jay. That's all I have to say.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for the franchise ownership journey. That's
I mean, it was just like, full disclosure, I was getting goosebumps just seeing the Delco Baseball Now on the back of the jersey.
Oh, it's so cool.
Especially, I think I'd put it out. I'm like 15 years ago, like I was one of them, and now we've kind of come full circle to hopefully own a team, for years to come in the future. So shout out to the Blue Jays, wishing the best of luck. Monday night, where I believe we're playing the Padres, so hopefully get back over 500 for I think the first time this year, because I think we went 0-1, then back to 1-1, 1-2, then back to 2-2. So let's get some momentum going here. All right, so let's get into the action from this week. So we're going to start off, as we will every week, with our game of the week presented by 5-Star Hiring. And first, let me tell you a little bit about 5-Star Hiring. They are a trusted teammate of employers and student athletes. Whether you're a business looking to add new employees, whether you're a student athlete looking to get into the corporate world, I know it's scary, the corporate world after you graduate, or even a coach that just wants to kind of get his players in the best position, whether it be high school, college, whatever, to after their playing careers are done, to be in the best position possible. Reach out to 5-Star to learn more about how their services can assist you, your team, or your organization. That's 5starhiring.net. 5-Star Hiring on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And as we mentioned last week when we introduced it, we wanted partnerships that targeted our demographic, those 18 to 24 guys. 45% of our Instagram audience is 18 to 24. And I mean, it doesn't get more targeted than that.
No, that's awesome. I think, we've said it before, say it again. It's really just a perfect match for, I think, both of us. Just doing great things over there. It's really, really awesome.
Yeah, James was up in James Grugan is the founder of the company. He was up in, I believe, Wisconsin this week, talking to a
Yeah.
team and helping prepare them. He was at Penn State Brandywine as well. So looking forward to keeping this rolling with James. And I know that he's a big Delco baseball fan. He's a Ridley guy. So he likes, the Ridley guys. And obviously there's a lot of Ridley kids on both Bonner and the Haverford school. So I think they play, I think next Saturday, like the 27th. And he's like, I
Yeah.
want that game. I'm like, whether it's the game of the week or not, we got you.
You
We
got
were,
it.
this is a little foreshadowing. We're considering trying to do a dollar dog day for that because it's a Saturday.
That'd be incredible.
Yeah. So keep your eyes out for that one. But let's talk about this game of the week. So we had Strath Haven and Penncrest. It was Wednesday at Strath Haven. It was gorgeous, beautiful, 70 degrees and sunny out there. Two of the best teams in the conference. We had Luke D'Ancona, Strath Haven starter, going against Gavin Brown, the Penncrest starter. Strath Haven won this one 2-0. D'Ancona had a sac fly. I think they also got a run on classic Brian Feely baseball, just a sacrifice bunt to knock another run in. And Ben, as a resident pitcher here,
right?
it was what did I say? Sacrifice? Yeah, safety squeeze.
Yeah, safety squeeze.
Little safety squeeze to get another run in. Ben, as a resident pitcher, we saw two great pitchers in this one. What'd you see for him?
Just a lot of, like, as someone who loves a good pitcher's duel, like, just a great ideal day of baseball for me. I mean, big thing, a lot of velo. I think both guys were, Gavin was 84, 86 up to 88. Luke was touching 90 a couple of times. Like, I mean, pocket radar, so not always perfectly accurate, but good enough. But yeah, just really good stuff out of both of them. The control for the off speed as well. It's a bad day to be a hitter. Definitely was a bad day to be a hitter. Just, Strath Haven being, who they are, we're able to scrape a couple across. But just a really, really fun matchup between two guys who are going to have really big years and also hopefully kind of like go on to do big things in college as well.
Hey, listen, I'm wearing my Penn State Club baseball shirt right now. And I know Gavin's going to try and walk on the main team. We'll see what happens. Obviously, Alex Pak kind of set the precedent that it is possible, especially with the new regime. So, wish him the best of luck, but it won't be a bad consolation prize if he ends up on the club team. But, just both of those guys, well, I think what impressed me the most is they both love strike one. They were always ahead. I think they both had maybe like 2 or 3 walks like the entire day, but like both pound in the zone. And man, just like the fact that Luke can locate that slider and has as much bite that he does, like it's almost an impossible task.
He tunnels it really well. Like that with how they've set up and how he pitches. Like, I mean, he just really is like a very outside corner, and it's that fastball running in and the slider just hard going away. And dude, like, people just have no shot. It's when that's kind of located and going, not a chance. It's really impressive to watch.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the one ball that Gavin Brown hit 96 miles an hour off of him, I will add, he hung that slider a little bit. Nobody was really, catching consistent barrels. Nico Tazzi had a bunch of great at-bats. He seemed like he was seeing the slider well. I think he had 2 walks and then an intentional walk at one point in the game as well.
Yeah.
So very good at-bats from him. They hit a couple balls hard, absolutely. But, I mean, the fact that I believe Luke is through, I want to say, I don't have the exact number, either 20 or 21 innings and has not allowed a run yet this year, is just an incredible jump. Because like when we saw him last year, he was a very good high school pitcher, throwing like 85, 86 ERA in like the mid 2s, I think, like a very good high school pitcher as a sophomore. He's now taken that jump where if he's not the best pitcher in Delco, he's top 2, he's top 3. Like he's, has as good of an argument as anybody. And he's backed it up so far. And same thing with Gavin, man. Like his ERA, I think, is somewhere in the 1s right now. He's been fantastic. The reason they lost this game was because they didn't hit Luke. Like he pitched very well, and I think Kalinowski came in after and pitched well. In addition to that, and it was just a good baseball game. Yeah,
it really was. I mean, and I don't know. There's no shame in not being able to hit Luke. I mean, most people are probably going to have that same issue. But yeah, just a really good, just clean, well played baseball game. It was a very nice day too. Like it was a good, that was a good game of the week.
I hated doubling up on two teams early that in the season like that, but it absolutely was worth it.
It was a can't miss
Yeah,
match.
it was.
You
And
know, like
I was at when we were at the media Little League ceremonies, a Penncrest guy, I think it was Cooper Biddle, because I saw Mr. Biddle, and he's a part of the media board. So
yeah,
I assumed it was him there. Apologies if it wasn't you, Cooper. My bad. But I was pretty sure it was him. And he saw that I was wearing the Delco baseball quarter zip, and he's like, "So we dropping out of the rankings after that one?" I'm like, "Dude, I came out of that game thinking you guys were better than I did like after." You know,
for
I mean,
sure.
that was Strath Haven was our number one team, and you guys played a great game with them that just didn't go your way. Like I'm like, you guys are way more likely to move up than move down. But we'll get to the rankings in a little bit. But yeah, no, just a really good game. Penncrest beat Marple on Monday as well. That was a fantastic game. And they're showing that they're for real. And I would say, like, not to toot our own horn, but I think we've done a pretty good job at evaluating the team's preseason. They were definitely our biggest miss so far.
Yeah, for sure. And that was this was kind of the prove it week for them, and they went out and proved it. I think going 1-1 with and that one loss being a pretty close game was still very impressive.
Yeah, they showed they belong. That was the biggest part of this prove it week. Sure. Prove that you belong. All right, let's move on here to the most impressive team this week, and it wasn't particularly close, and it was Bonner. Bonner went 5-0. They won 3 conference games in 3 days. So we'll start off on Monday. They played the defending PCL and state champ at the 6A level. That was Father Judge. It was a 2-2 game going into extras. They put up 7 runs in the top of that 8th inning, and they really just took that momentum and they ran with it. Like, they could have lost that game, and who knows how this week would have gone. But to go out there, they won that game. I believe it was on the road, because they scored all of them in the top of the 8th. Then they went out on Tuesday. They played Archbishop Ryan. Shout out Ryan Friel, beating Ryan. Kind of rude of him, if you ask me, to beat his namesake like that. But he homered and hit a grand slam. So 2 homers on the day in that one to give them a 15-5 win. I believe Corey Sheridan started that game, so that was his first PCL action. I think he had a solid day, maybe like 2 or 3 runs over 4 or so innings for them. They kept it rolling on Wednesday, 7-1 win over Devon Prep. That was recent St. Joe's commit. Recent St. Joe's commit, Johnny Ortega, going 6 innings, 1 unearned run, and he also had 0 Ks. I believe I have 6 innings. I have 0 unearned runs. Whether he let up a run or not, it was unearned in that game. And he also had 7 Ks for that one. So just to go out there, and I mean, it sounds crazy putting it like this, but that was a quarter of their PCL schedule that they just ran through like that.
Yeah, it's especially like with that, where you only get 12 games and play each game once. Like, I think we talked about before, where it was like those games mean so much more now. Running on like 3 days in a row, just running through a quarter of your conference schedule is nuts. And so, like, being able to, I mean, the depth they have to be able to like go and win all of those games, I guess, to Judge, like, I wouldn't say easily, but the other 2 pretty easily. Like, I don't know. I think we kind of, for a little bit, like when they weren't playing, we had like forgotten a little bit about them. But like, dude, they're back. They're rolling. Like,
they are who we thought they were. It's funny because like we were in a tough spot, as I mentioned, where it's like we had to keep them up high on the power rankings because we knew how much talent they had, but they weren't playing. So we didn't really know like what to do with them. We couldn't drop them too far because like we had them number 1 and they didn't do anything to like prove that they shouldn't be. But it was definitely a funny situation, but thankfully that's in the past now. They had a bit of a scare against this team, Appoquinimink, on Thursday. They were up 8-0 in the last inning. They let up 8 runs. They ended up winning in extras, thank God, because that would have been a tough bus ride home after that. But they closed out the week on a good note. They took down Holy Ghost 11-2 to complete that 5-0 week. And a lot of great stuff to talk about. Obviously, the offense, when you're scoring 7+ runs a game without your star center fielder, Irv Fisher, our raffle winner, shout out to City Connect t-shirts. And you're getting production. I mean, just dogs up and down the lineup. Like Jackson Kehoe had a homer and 4 RBIs in this Holy Ghost game. This is being recorded Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening. So that game's Sunday. Austin Cannon had a 3-for-3 day at this point. Ryan Friel's a sophomore, and he had 2 home runs in that game. Michael Coleman had a 3-hit day, and then you go Harry Carr, another Division I player at shortstop. Like, they got dudes up and down the lineup where there's really, like, you can't take your foot off the gas at any point.
No, there's no, I mean, it's like no easy outs is even an understatement. Like it's 9 really good hitters. I mean, yeah, they are who we thought they were. Like this is going to be a really good team this year.
Yeah, and they'll have some more. We'll get into our preview of the next week, but some more PCL games to
Yep.
show what they got. Another team that's been in pretty steady top 3 or 4 team in our power rankings this year has been the Haverford School. They started off 2-0 in the Interac. After last year, they started 0-4. So I think for their locker room, it was really important to just not dig yourself in that hole like they did last year. Obviously, they got hot and they got out of it last year, so it wasn't anything that ruined their season per se. But getting out to that big start was very important for them. So in their first game, they took on Penn Charter, as we mentioned on the show last week. That was the team that knocked them out last year, right? So they wanted to kind of get some revenge for that. Ian White Jr., the East Carolina commit, got the start. He was great. 5 1/3 innings, 1 hit, 2 earned runs, 9 strikeouts in that game that was on the road as well. So nice to get off on a nice road win to kick things off. Brendan Green and Connor Scanlon both had 2 hits. They've been great in that 2-3 spot for the Fords this year. They won some non-conference games this week, but we're going to stick to the Interact for right now. So they won on Friday against Springside Chestnut Hill. That was a nice combo of their 2 and 3 guys. So they had Kevin Reevy go 4 innings, only allowing 2 runs. He had 7 Ks. Fred Jordan, the most interesting man in Delco, had 3 shutout innings, only 1 hit allowed against a Springside Chestnut Hill team that was the co-champs of the conference with Malvern last year. So to go out there to beat 2 very solid teams like that has to feel good for them.
Oh, absolutely. I think getting off to a good start in conference play is just so crucial for, one, like, just, obviously your playoff chance there, just like the vibes overall. I think kind of getting now and like even like having a little bit of that cushion, like knowing that you're starting well, just, allows you to just come and like play looser. Just everything's a little bit better when you're winning. And, everything's better when you're winning.
Yeah, for sure. So that game against Chestnut Hill on Friday had it all. So they started with back-to-back-to-back homers in that game. Jaden Rivera, I believe on the first pitch, Jaden Rivera, then Connor Scanlon, then Brenner Green. And Jaden Rivera homered twice in that game. And it was also head coach Bob Castell's 500th career win, which when you break it down, man, in high school, he's been the coach since the 1993 season. I was born in 99. Ben, 98, right? 97.
I was 97.
He's been coaching for years before we were born. All at the Haverford School. It's what 93, but what 31 seasons?
Yeah,
that's insane. That's about quick math here. A little less than like 20 wins a year. I know 20 over 30 years would be 600. So like 15-ish, right? Like 15, 20 wins a year. Just shows how consistently good they are. He's won 4 state championships. I believe I saw 3 Interact in one of the posts as well. And, just from all accounts, I've only met him once or twice. Very, very good guy, but just a legend for that program.
Oh, for sure. That's 500 in high school, especially when you think about like how few games you play in high school is crazy. That's one of the coaching legends in the county, really. The 31 years doing that at a program like that, like it's real legend stuff.
I need to text our guy Dave Berman and see if he's got like an all-time wins, because somewhere.
Oh yeah, he has to
100% find a good list of coaches going back to like the mid 1900s.
I wonder who it would be. It probably wouldn't be anyone recent. It would have to be someone.
I don't know, man, but I'll tell you what, there's a very good chance Feely's up there someday, because he started very young and he's had a lot of
he's
over the years.
He's probably up there now.
I don't know how old he is, but I think he's been coaching since like somewhere in the 2000s, because he was the coach when they won the district in 2010. So it's been at least 15 years, but yeah. So yeah, very, very cool accomplishment. We'll get another milestone a little bit later on, another coaching milestone. But just real quick to wrap up the Haverford school, you know, we were so excited about their rotation going into the year. You know, through 2 Interact games, they let up a total of 5 runs with their 3 guys going. You know, those 3 guys I'll put up with pretty much any 3 guys. You know, like with Bonner, with Haven, like with any of those like Lower Merion, like really good rotations around here. So I'm excited, and as we'll get to in the preview games, man, them and Malvern Prep is going to be a huge game on Tuesday. But good start for the Fords. We'll move back to the PCL here. So we had one of the 3 Delco on Delco matchups in the PCL this year. So for anyone who's not familiar, O'Hara, Carroll, and Bonner are the only 3 Delco teams in the PCL. And on Saturday, O'Hara took down Carroll. It was a great game, 7-3 win for the Lions. We had 6 innings pitched from Kevin King, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 Ks. It's a brilliant start. I mean, 2 earned runs in that, you know, is a fantastic outing. Nate Everett closed it out with a shutout 7th inning. But, you know, the story for this O'Hara team in their lineup has been that Brendan Till and Kevin McGuire at the top of the order are just on-base machines. Like, it feels like every game, both of those guys are getting 2 or 3 hits a pop and always on base, always scoring, knocking each other in. And, you know, it's been a weird season for O'Hara because, you know, you start your season off winning 2 games against 2 elite teams in the conference, right? Judge and Wood were combined 20-4 last year, and we're both top seeds. Then you come back and, you know, you kind of get rocked a bit by St. Joe's Prep and Lansdale Catholic, and all of a sudden you're 2-2. Not really sure what direction you're heading, but to get back on track, to stop that skid in a game like that is very big. Yeah,
no, that's a big one for them. I think like the those Delco PCL games are legit rivalries too. So getting one of those, like to get above 500, just everything there, that's a big one. And I know we were saying that like they've had a tough week, but you know, after anything like that, you beat Carroll and on that Saturday, like, you know, no matter kind of what happened before, it starts to turn around a little bit. You feel a lot better about the week after that win.
Yeah, keep going.
No. Yeah,
I was gonna say O'Hara's 3-2 now. They'll play, I believe, Roman on Monday. That's half their PCL season. It feels like it just started, and all of a sudden they're going to be, you know. I still think this is a playoff team. I think this is a good, you know, a top. I believe so. I think in the PCL, 10 make the playoffs out of 13, and the top 6 get a bye. So like that 7 to 10 round, like that wild card round gets you to 8 teams, and then you go from there. So I think it's a very real possibility they end up in that like 6-5 range and can avoid that wild card game. And yeah, so it's going to be very fascinating to watch out. So we'll have as we'll talk about Bonner and Carroll is on Monday, and I'm not sure. I'm going to look it up. I'm not sure when Bonner and O'Hara is.
That's
I feel like I don't think it's this week. It's definitely not this week. That is Monday, April 29th. So 2 weeks.
2 weeks from tomorrow. Okay.
2 weeks from tomorrow. Yeah. And I think that's one of their last
it'd have to be.
Last games. Yeah. All right, cool. Glad we got that one figured out there. Yep. Let's move on to probably I believe this is the first walk-off homer of the season. Would that be correct? Yeah. I feel like we would remember covering that if we had a walk-off.
No, it's got to be.
Yeah. So shout out Aiden Henley for Marple Newtown. They played a non-conference game. It was a battle in Newtown Square against Episcopal. It was a great back and forth game. Henley took a hanging curveball. He smoked it to left center field. He knew it was going off the bat. And, you know, I think a lot of people were probably wondering like how Marple would be able to handle the catcher position with Delco Baseball Now podcast alum Jason Bennett still banged up. But he's been great to start the year for them, and that's a game where it won't affect your playoffs, good or bad. But to go out there and beat a really good team on your home field on a Saturday like that was huge. Oh
yeah, for sure. It's another like you said, they're not going to do playoffs, or not going to really affect playoffs, but just good vibes win. Honestly, like especially after they had a really tough game early on against Penncrest this past week, like. You know, it's good to like turn around end of the week, beat a good team like Episcopal. Walk-off home run is sick. I mean, I can't imagine. I would have loved to hit a walk-off home run.
I've never before I hang up the spikes, I would like walk-off homer, cycle, which probably won't happen because I'm slow. So the triple's kind of, I'm gonna need a field, no offense, and multi home run game are both, are all
Yeah, it's a good bucket list there.
I don't. I mean, if I was to do triple, being on Wayne would help because Devin Prep is deep in the gaps and short down the right field line. So I would say
you can get in the corner.
Yeah, I would say not impossible, but we're gonna have to lose a couple lbs for that triple to happen, or maybe someone has to dive for a ball and it goes past them. That could happen.
Yeah, that could be a thing where if it just on a dive, that's probably your shot. Just unhook the fridge and get going.
I can't wait to cook up a graphic for myself of a cycle. That's the goal.
That's so good.
That's the goal. Yeah, I mean, I haven't been good at baseball since we started this account. 2022, I was hurt the entire season. Like I did not play a single Delco League game, and then last year I was getting back, but like I played a little, but sucked still. So hopefully I can cook some graphics up this year, and we'll go from there. But
there we go.
Last thing I'll say about Marple is they have 4 Aidens on their team, and that feels like a lot of Aidens to me.
I remember last year going through and being like, dude, they have so many Aidens. I think they've added an Aiden. Like they're
yeah.
I think last year was 3.
Pearson was there, Curran was there, and who am I missing? So we got Pearson, we got Curran, we got Henley, and who's the last one we're missing here? Because I think they all play too.
Yeah.
What
happened there?
Aiden Curran spells his Aidin, which is very interesting.
That's a new one. I've never seen that.
No, I'm totally blanking. Aiden Liberty is someone who's gotten a little playing time as well. So Aiden Liberty, Henley, and Pearson spell it Aiden, and Aiden Curran's IN. I've not seen that. I've seen AN before.
Yeah, I've seen AN and EN. Yeah. IN's a new one, but gotta stand out somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I just remember I was writing one of the recaps, and in my head I'm like, how many Aidens do these guys have? I looked it up. I'm like, oh my god, it's turned into the new like Matthew, James, like John. Like it's it's a household name now. I don't know.
For one baseball team, like in 1 year, having 4 Aidens is crazy.
Even having 4 of the same name, if it's like Matt, is still bizarre. I guess we had a big bump like 17 years ago. Jeez.
Yeah, that was like for E-Town my senior year, we had 3 Bens, and that was like weird, but like also we had like a 40-man roster. Like
we had
my guys, 4 of them are Aiden.
I think my junior year on the club team, we had 6 Ryans, but we had 2 teams that combined was like 50 people.
Yeah, so like, that's like a little bit.
It's still weird, but yeah. All right, let's see. Next up on the list, talk about a team that it was funny. I was reading a Delco Times article, and they were talking about how Lower Merion was like a dark horse to win the Central League. And I was in my head, I'm like, I don't think they're a dark horse, man. I think they're just a really good team that we had kind of somewhat saw coming just because of Van Wilner and the pitching staff that they had. So they went 3-0 this week. Very good week for the Aces. They lost that game on Saturday against Stoga, and I think they let up like 14 runs. So to be able to get back, it was 14-9. So to be able to get back and run the table, they only allowed 2 runs in 3 games this week. So they started off against Ridley. Van was fantastic. 6 innings, 1 unearned run. He had 10 strikeouts in that game. It was a 7-1 win, believe, at Ridley. They come out their next game on Wednesday, combined no-hitter in 5 innings against Upper Darby. That was Angus Penn. Great name, Angus Penn. Mackay Smith, who I also didn't even know pitched, and Will Cohen as well. Just showing the depth from these guys. Like, listen, like we said it before, like we understand that Upper Darby is in a rebuilding stage right now, but like to have your 4th, 5th, and 6th arms to go out there, still, it's very impressive. And to finish off the week, they played. I'm completely blanking. I think it was Haverford. Yeah, Haverford. They played Haverford. Yeah. Isaiah Negron, 5 1/3, no hits, no runs, 7 Ks. Justin Spiegler came in to finish it off. So like we had said, the offense of this team is good, but not great. Like they're gonna, score their like 4, 5, 6, 7. Like they're not, getting shut down a lot, but they're also not the team that's gonna be putting up 12, 13. 14, and you know what? That's fine when they have the arms that they have.
Yeah, that is. They have again like good lineup. But yeah, the arms they have right now are probably in terms of 1-2s. Like I would imagine hard to find a better 1-2 than Van and Isaiah right now. But no, that's kind of the beautiful thing about having a pitching staff like that is that, takes a little bit of pressure off the offense.
Yeah. And like we said, the offense still has some guys. Jack Scholl's homered in that
Mhm.
Haverford game. Gus Wright at the top of the order. Brody Slensky had a couple barrels at the game we were at, and he's in the middle of the order. Toby Myers, Mackay Smith, like they can get runs in. And this is a team that I think is going to be a problem in that District 1 6A bracket because they're playing some of these big teams like North Penn, Springford that have dudes on dudes in the lineup. And the only way you're going to beat them, you're not going to outscore them. You have to shut them down. So, kind of having that recipe from last year and knowing what, they shut down the Neshaminy. I think they won that game 2-1. And then I think Springford, I don't know if they got blown out, but I think they lost like somewhat comfortably.
Beat them pretty good.
So just knowing that they have the arms to be able to, go and be successful is very good for them. And, like we said, Central League, they are, I believe them. So Lower Merion, Penncrest, and Strath Haven are all 4-1 in the Central right now at the top, and a couple 3-2 teams. So it feels, last year Strath Haven was 14-2 and the next best teams were 10-6. It feels like this year, I hope we don't get a tie, but I just feel like it's going to come down to later in the year.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be tight. I don't know who it's going to be it, Lower Merion, Penncrest, Strath Haven, or if someone just goes on a crazy run out of nowhere. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be must see down the wire, and I don't know. I'm hoping for a little chaos too. It's going to be.
If teams end with the same record, don't listen to this show if you don't support a Central League playoff, because if teams tie, we will be unbearable.
Oh yeah, we are going to be insufferable.
Although I will say, I'm planning on selling championship merchandise, so we do get 2 teams to buy Central League championship merch.
Good for profit.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure my senior year, like when you were a freshman in college, I think 3 teams split it. I think it was Garnet, Springfield, and Harriton all split it.
Yeah, because that was one where I think Springfield had like a decent shot. They had to win like one of their last 2 games to, I think, win it outright, and didn't. So tough one, tough memory there for the boys. But
yeah. So as mentioned, I don't consider Lower Merion a dark horse to win. I do consider Stoga going into the year. I consider them a dark horse, but they've been great. So they started off. They won their Monday game against Garnet Valley. Richie Biberoche, 5 shutout innings, 9 Ks. In that win, Max Brown came in a tough spot. I think they were up 5-4. There was at least a runner on first, maybe on second as well, but he got out of that jam. It was sick. It was bases loaded, tie game, full count, and he got a strikeout to end the game there. So that was huge. And you can just tell what the return of James Queasy has done for the order, having him back. Like, he was honestly, on paper, he might have been their best hitter last year. He was fantastic as a sophomore. Him and John were both great. And having him back for an order that already has guys like Chase Ranson at the top, Tyler Phillips, Brennan Sora to go along with Biberoche. But Landon Jones has been great. I believe he's a freshman, and he's been behind the plate. He's had a couple of nice multi-hit, multi-RBI games. On Saturday, they beat the Haverford school. And he had another 2-hit, 2 RBI game. And it's funny, their best pitching performance of the week actually came in the loss. When they lost on a Shane Durkin RBI single to Haverford, Jake Frill had 13 strikeouts in 5 innings, and they lost.
Unbelievable. That's just a tough day right there. Just 13 Ks, everything.
Getting the Zach Wheeler treatment, although not today. Wheeler got let up a grand slam, but most of the time for Wheeler. But yeah, they have a real chance to do some damage this week because they take on Harriton, Springfield, and Radnor, 3 teams that haven't quite got going yet. Radnor, I think, has won their last
Radnor
2 in their Central League. Just 3 of the lower teams in the conference that if they can, like, there's a chance that we come on this show next week and we're like, hey, Stoga's 6-2 in the Central League, right? Like, we, I mean, I wouldn't say we didn't see it coming because I wrote in the article, I'm like, they could either be 12-4 or 4-12, and I'll just be like, yeah, I guess I saw that coming. Like, we had no idea what to expect.
No, yeah, they were they really were. I think they were kind of the weird one of like, we just don't know. We don't know what they're going to be, and I don't know. They look like they're starting to get the ball roll. Like, even early on, I think it was still like not 100% certain what direction this was going to go for them, but they've gotten a couple good wins. I think that Garnet win was the real, like, you could just tell. I was watching that. I don't know where I was, but I was watching the Game Changer stream. You could just like, I don't know. You could see like a little bit of energy with everyone. Like after that last out, like that ball's starting to roll for them. And Conestoga is one of those schools that they just always have talent. So that's going to be a scary team if they can really get it going.
Yep. All right, let's move into the Del Val here. So we got to give a huge shout out to Chichester head coach Dan Singley. Foreshadowed it a little earlier when talking about Bob Castell, but he just won his 100th game as the head coach of the Eagles. They had a perfect week. They beat Chester in Academy Park big, and Interborough was the fun game. They won 11-8. Not only did they beat Interborough, but I just feel like the Delco baseball is better when they're both on the same level. Because last year, like, Chichester just ran through the Del Val. Like, I don't think a single game was within 5 or 6 runs.
Yeah.
So for this Interborough game, it was 11-8 final. It was a great game. Zach Murray went 3 for 4, drove in 3 runs. Gavin Derrickson also drove in 3 runs and closed out the game. So, like, basically what I took from this game is, like, Chichester's still the team to beat in the Del Val. But those games against Interborough late in the year, if they're both, have only lost to each other, like that could be a very, very, we could potentially have a Del Val title game if Interborough beats Chi the second time, and then that third one, they're both sitting at whatever it would be, like 12-1, 12-2, whatever. Like, that would be an easy game of the week if that's like basically a championship game.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the cool things about the Del Val. I think it like just makes it really unique is that, like, with all due respect to a lot of teams, I know we've talked about Chester. They're, I think, up and coming, starting to like really, that program's really starting to grow. It's still like basically a 3-game series between Chichester and Interborough for the Del Val played throughout the year. And I don't know, I think it's a really rare thing to get in any kind of conference in any sport, to just have like these 2 teams that are always so good, and it's like they're gonna play each other, and like that's gonna determine the entire league. It's, I don't know. I just find that kind of fascinating to see. And it is good that, like, when you have something like that, it sucks when, one of the teams is just running through. So it's cool that, like, Interborough's, I don't know if they're back, like, even with them, but at least kind of at that same level of, like, they're competing again now. And it's, I don't know, it should be fun. The second game's going to be a good one. And then hopefully we get a little Del Val title game. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Chichester just got a lot younger. They graduated a lot of talented seniors. Jason Hankins, guys from their rotation like Aaron Jackson last year, and DJ Anderson, like guys that gave them a lot of innings. And Troy Neff was one of the, and Josh Claycomb were 2 of like the main lineup forces coming back. But a lot of new faces for this team, and I'd imagine they'll both end up in the playoffs just based on how many wins they're going to rack up in the Del Val, and seeding we'll get to that when we get to that. But let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, last thing on the Del Val, shout out Brandon Colon, 12 strikeout no hitter against Penwood in that game that I believe I want to say was on Wednesday, it might have been on Thursday. But they've taken care of business in their games outside of Chichester, and we also had Marcus Benson drove in 3 runs. He went 2 for 2 on the day. Brandon Colon also had 2 hits to go along with his no-hitter. If you ask me, having 2 more hits than you let up is a pretty good day.
Yeah, I think you're going to take that every time.
Can't ask for anything more than that.
No, that's shout out Chester, man. That's like, I don't know. I mean, we kind of just said it, but growing program, man. It's kind of cool.
They care. Like, that's the most important thing, is they care.
It's cool. It's really cool to see.
You can't build a program overnight, but the community, like going on the show with Dave Berman, and like just being connected with some people through there, like Chester is a good baseball town when they're good. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with football, man. Like Chester football, when they were in the district championship against Strath Haven, there were thousands of people at that game.
Yeah.
That was the best high school sports atmosphere I've personally ever been in. Like there were thousands of people not even in the stadium because they couldn't, like, they were just running out of like they weren't even letting people in by the end of it because they had nowhere to put them. The Strath Haven band usually sits in the bleachers at other stadiums, but they had to keep them on the track. Like, it was just, it's a great sports town, and you see it in mostly basketball and also little football that, if you build it, they will come. Right. So the support there is definitely very encouraging. All right, that's all we got for our storyline. So let's get into our power rankings. Ben, I kind of like how we alternated last week. So you want to do that again?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right, we got a new number 1 this week. And this is not an anti-Strath Haven thing. This is a pro-Bonner thing. So Bonner They started the season at number 1. They didn't play for a little bit, but now that they're going, they're going. 5-0 week this week. They're now 5-1 on the season. Only loss came to a good Penn Charter team in their first game up north. This is just one of those things where it's like, I don't know what else you can ask for a team to earn that spot. They hit the ball. Their starting pitchers threw the ball really well. They're missing their star center fielder. Like it was as good of a week as you can ask for.
Yeah, for sure. That was kind of having them when we had them at 1 to start the thing, because we knew just how much talent they have, and then just kind of from not playing dropped. But now those boys are getting cooking. Like they're looking the part right now.
Absolutely, playing with a lot of confidence, and you can tell that. And we'll be seeing them this week as well. What do you got? Number 2.
We got Strath Haven 2. Makes sense with just how well Bonner did. And plus they dropped a tough one to Springfield earlier in the week. But there's still, I mean, if we could do 1 and 1A, I think like it wouldn't hurt to do that. It's still a really good team. And I think we saw really what they are in that Penncrest game. Just, they're gonna suffocate you. They're gonna be really good, like just really good pitching and just find a way at the plate. It's just another classic Strath Haven team, really.
Yeah, and I think people kind of forget, like, Strath Haven in the regular season last year, they didn't hit. They went 14-2, but they didn't hit very well. Like they didn't have. I think they had 1 double-digit run scoring game in the regular season, and then like their first 2 states games, they had 2, and it was kind of just like, hey, like where did this come from? Like I think that they're in a sense like a similar build to what they've been in the past, where suffocating pitching, they're going to score a couple runs and win. Like I think them and Lower Merion are very, very similarly built teams in that regard.
Yeah, very comparable.
But it's just like don't get it like that. Strath Haven team was like magical last year in the playoffs, but like this is what typical Strath Haven team looks like. And it's not really like they deserve to be moved down, just like Bonner deserved to be moved up. Like they lost a Springfield game where they didn't play very well. They faced a great pitcher like Sean Williams, and then they had a guy like Rob Matei who had never started a game before. So like always a tough matchup. Teams, it's I don't know if anybody has gone 16-0 in the Central League. I'm sure it's happened, but not in our lifetime.
Did.
When? Oh, you're right. They did. The year. No, you're right. It was
like a couple years ago, right?
It was the reason I forgot about it. It was because they lost in the first round of districts.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why it's like it
was a long time ago. Or was that recent?
It was when I was in 8th grade. So you were a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
I completely forgot about it because I try and put that out of my head because they got crushed by. They lost to North Penn, who was the 19 seed, who won the state title as the District 1 19 seed.
Of course.
So like it definitely looked a little better after.
For sure.
But yeah, back on track here. I felt bad moving them down, but it was more about Bonner. But
that's Bonner took that spot back definitely.
All right, we move on to number 3 here. The Haverford school moves up from 4 to 3, going 2-0 in your 2 Interact games. We'll easily get that.
Mm-hmm.
They dropped this game to Stoga, but they were kind of saving their arms for this upcoming week. They also beat Shipley in a game on Wednesday where I think they were down 2-1 in the top of the 7th, and they scored 5. So really good fight, especially in a game where, and I think they might play the most games, them and EA, out of any Delco team. They could have just been like, this game doesn't really affect us. Like, it's not an Interact game. Like we can kind of just roll over, like get back to work on Friday against Chestnut Hill. They didn't. They stayed with it. They rallied in that game, and a 3-1 week is more than enough justification to move back up to 3.
Absolutely, and that's like great teams win those games where it's like they don't. Great teams still win the games that don't really matter that much. So it's just a really good sign from them. I think they've been pretty strong in that 3-4 range. Or I guess did they start at 2?
I think they started at 2, but I think since then they've been mostly 3.
Yeah, they've been strong in that range and like feel very confident of keeping them at 3. That's a really good team.
Yeah. All right, we're staying the Interact for number 4.
Yeah, going over to EA. Not a great week from them, really. 0-2 start in the Interact. Dropped the tough one to Marple on the walk-off home run. Kind of is what it is. But no, it's still a good team. I think we know like the talent they have, and but I mean they do have some work to do now in the interact to kind of turn this around and get going. 0-2's that's really not what you want,
Yeah.
especially in the interact where you don't play a lot of games.
Yeah, I think, if I'm Episcopal, the loss to Malvern is okay. Like, you lost to
Yeah, you
Tate,
can kind of watch
yeah,
that.
you lost a close game. Tate Davis is a great pitcher. They have a great lineup. Only having one hit and getting shut out to Penn Charter, that's the game where I would be like what that's a
Yeah,
tough result. Like losing to Malvern, like I hate to say, you almost you don't schedule it as a loss, but you think like, all right, like we can work around that. But that Penn
yeah.
Charter game, like that's got to be the one where they're like, damn, like that's a tough game for us to play the way we did. Like I was at that EA and Malvern game, and they
Mhm.
played, they played pretty well. Like EA's got a lot of young arms. Hunter West started the game. I believe he's a freshman. Mike Schaefer came in. He's in eighth grade. Like they got some young, talented arms. I know, eighth grade. I say it
Yeah,
every
it's
time. It's
ridiculous.
hilarious. And they competed, and it was a 6-run inning for Malvern that almost wasn't. Like I think most of those runs I think were with 2 outs. So
Mhm.
a close game, but yeah, the offense against Penn Charter wasn't great. So yeah, moving them down, but we still know that they're a good team. They started 10-0, so they've kind of earned that like little benefit of the doubt that
Yeah,
all good.
they've earned a little
Yeah,
cushion there.
yeah. All right, number 5, we are going to go with Lower Merion. So I think they've pretty much fluctuated from 5 and 6 the entire season. I
Yeah,
don't think
more
they've
or less.
been anywhere outside of that. Love their rotation, like their bats, love their defense, especially. We
Yeah.
saw them in person, very, very talented defense. I think that they have the potential to move up. I think that they're pretty comfortably in that 5-6 range, and I don't see that necessarily changing. They do play Haven this week, as we'll talk about, so we'll see. But I still like them at 5.
Is that going to be a Luke and Van game? I assume.
I don't think so, because I think Luke would pitch Wednesday against Garnet, or let's see, he pitched
Uh,
on Thursday, Friday. So I guess hypothetically he could pitch Monday at Ridley. We'll see how they do it, but I
yeah.
don't think so, because I think they both
Okay.
play on Wednesday as well. That would have been
Yeah.
pretty cool though.
Yeah. All right. That would have been really cool. So I guess actually no, we're not going to get another shot because they're 6A.
Correct. That's the
But
only matchup for them. It's a bummer. But if there was essentially championship, maybe.
yeah,
I'll
maybe.
come back to that. All right, what do you got? What do you got for number 6?
Number 6 got the friends of the brand here, Penncrest. Moving up, what, 3 spots?
Yeah, they were
moving
9.
up 3 spots. Impressive week out of them. We talked about a decent amount. Big win over Marple. That I guess apparently we heard had a little post game festivities.
Yeah, little extracurriculars.
Yeah,
We'll leave it at that. We don't need to get
yeah.
into high school drama, but
No.
I was I was watching on Game Changer. I don't even know why I was still in like the stream during the handshake line, but once I saw that, I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Time to go.
Yeah, it's time to go. But all I have to say is they play under the lights in a couple weeks on I think a Wednesday. I don't know if it'll be
That's
game of the
gonna
week, but
be
that's like I will be there no matter what.
yeah, for
That'll be
sure.
fun. Yeah, but no, I
Um,
mean Penncrest deserves to move up. They've been playing great ball. Like as we had mentioned, I saw their game. I know they lost to Haven, but I came out kind of higher on them than I was before.
came out very impressed.
Yeah. All right, number 7, we got Marple. So obviously Marple, I think they were 5 last week. It was tough to move them down when they won that game against EA, but you kind of have to balance like conference versus non-conference. Like give me your best versus their best. And in that Penncrest game, Penncrest they won on I think it was a walk-off sack fly from Cooper Biddle in that game.
Yeah.
Yep. Then they won the rest of their games of the week, but I think even they'll tell you that it wasn't their they haven't played their best baseball yet. They beat Interborough I think it was like 5-0. Harriton was 13, like 6 or 7. Like the Episcopal game definitely feels good, but I think they'll it's good that it's April and you haven't played your best yet, right? Like
For sure.
They're still 3-2 in the Central League. I felt the EA game beating them and dropping, it was just kind of one of those it's a tough break, but I think this was more about you can't have them ahead of Penncrest when Penncrest just beat them, right? And I think this is this is probably the team that, if you want to call it almost like an unfair, it's just tough,
Yeah.
a tough break, but it's just how the cookie crumbled, right?
Yeah, that's how the power rankings are. I think you were talking about, they aren't playing their best baseball, and that's whether it's like a very good thing, whether there's like a lot of room for them to not get better. They're very good, but like I don't know. I guess like play better. Like we haven't seen their best yet. Is what I'm trying to say, and that's kind of a scary thing. But I think on the other side of the rankings is like Lower Merion and Penncrest right now are playing their best baseball probably, and you do have to reward that. So there's kind of an unfortunate casualty of just a couple teams being really hot right now.
Yep. All right, we have a first time entrance on this list, number 8. Tell us about them.
Yeah, Conestoga, welcome to the power rankings. Well deserved. These guys have kind of things are starting to take off for them after iffy start, I guess. But the pitching starting to get going, the lineup starting to get going. They got James back. Yeah, it's well deserved, and this is a group that could probably climb.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think they'd won their first game of the year against one of the Downing towns. I forget which one it was, and that was my first sign. I'm like, all right, it's a solid, excuse me, solid looking team. And then going out there, like we'd mentioned, we have to keep the same standards, right? Like Marple beating EA and Conestoga beating Haverford score, both on the same plane of great win, great depth. It wasn't everybody's best on everybody's best, and that's fine. Like it's still a good win, and I think them beating Garnet is what got them on this list. They lost a tough game. Some of the young guys on regular public Haverford High School, Jimmy Boyle and Shane Durkin as sophomores doing their thing. That was just a good game by them, and they couldn't get the offense going. But with the pitching they've had, the depth with Jake Friel, with Henry First, with Richie Biberoche, Max Brown, like they've kind of shown enough that they're going to be a contender for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a team, and like you said, there's a chance that we come back here at the end of next week and they're 6-2 in the Central League, and probably maybe not tied for first, but a game out. So that's definitely a team to keep an eye on.
All right, last but not least, we got the home of the Dollar Dogs. We got Garnet Valley. As mentioned, they lost that game against Conestoga on Monday. They rebounded. They walked it off against Ridley on, I believe that was Wednesday or Thursday. Only 2 games on the
Wednesday.
I think it was Wednesday. Yeah, only 2 games in the week for them, so a little bit lighter. They're getting back. They're healthy. Chris Schaller's back. They're kind of starting to figure out like the arms that they're going to roll out there for their most important games, but they're starting to hit a little more, right? Like they had their early going, but then there's some games where they kind of quieted down. Like finding the consistency is definitely going to be big for them. But their offense has been very strong. Like they got a good balance of like older vets, like the guys like Zuppo, Swartanevich, Jack Krautzel, but also with the young guns like Harrison Mall, sophomore, right? Cole Lombardo, sophomore. Brady Thompson is a junior, but still I think it's a second year on the team. So they have a very good balance of that. And for them, I mean, the pitching depth is going to be the question on how far they can go, whether it be in the Central League race or in the district race. But for now, let's just call them, they're just a fun team to watch.
Yeah, definitely a fun team. I think, they're talking about those guys are pretty, when we had them on, they're pretty excited for the weather to start warming up. Walked out, it was like 70 something a day. It's getting to be their time, I think.
Yeah, and it's going to be 70s and sunny on Monday, so I'm feeling some big numbers for them and for others as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah.
Hopefully I mean, some guys swinging it soon.
Yeah, I think they still deserve to be in, and I think definitely. 9's a good spot for them. All right, so we foreshadowed a little bit about some of the look ahead games, so we're going to get to that, but we're going to talk real quick the players of the week. So, our first award of the season, because we kind of wanted to wait until everybody was going. So, for the hitter of the week, we are going with Jaden Rivera. So, Jaden Rivera had 3 home runs this week, 7 for 14. He also had 2 doubles in a week where Haverford School went 3-1. Very, very deserving winner right there.
Yeah, for sure. I think that was a pretty easy one. Honestly, I think both of our picks this week were pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like easy.
No.
Like, for a while, like after Ryan Friel hit the 2 homers, I was kind of like, all right, he's in the leaderboard. Then Jaden Rivera decided to hit 3 in 2 days. And I'm like, all right, well, that kind of speaks for itself. I don't think anybody else in the conference will hit 3 in a week.
No,
this
definitely not.
season. So he is our hitter of the week. We're going to go to another junior. We got Luke D'Ancona for our pitcher of the week from Strath Haven in our game of the week. So he had a big spotlight on. He did not disappoint. 6 1/3, no earned runs. He had 14 strikeouts in that game, just really doing whatever he wanted, and everything was working for him. So congrats to those guys for that. I assume at this point the graphics will have been posted, so it's not like we're breaking news to people that that follow it, but we're still talking about it here. So let's talk about some of the games for this week. So our game of the week this week, by the time you listen to this, it might have already happened. It's going to be Bonner and Carroll. That's going to be at Bonner, 4 o'clock Monday afternoon. You know, it's one of those things where we just wanted to make sure that we got one of those Delco on Delco PCL matchups. You know, one of them already happened, and one of them isn't for 2 weeks. So just looking around the league in the area, we kind of thought that this would be a good one to get out there. We have not seen Bonner in person yet. So I'm looking forward to this. I don't know. I would imagine. So Gavin Ray started last Monday, and Harry Carr did for Bonner, and Gavin for Carroll. So I'm not sure if that's the exact same matchup we're getting, but either way, it's going to be a D1 arm versus a D1 arm, if that's the case.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be a real good one. I mean, Delco PCL game, serious rivalries there. It's fun. I think it's nice to I also kind of get into another league for the game of the week. I know we've been a little bit Central League heavy. Granted, there's just been a lot of awesome games in Central League so far. But we're gonna get out, start to showcase some of the other great leagues that Delco has.
Yeah, I mean Central League heavy also because the Interact didn't start till last week, and really the PCL didn't get going either. So I'd said it in our post. I'm like, hey, like I promise we're gonna get to other games. It's just right now, like this is the best option. So this is what we're doing. Some other big games. Lower Merion and Harriton, one of the better rivalries. That word always just like I can't say rivalry.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
That's a tough one, man. I don't know what to say about that. Rivalry game. So Lower Merion and Harriton, arch rivals. I think they're both in the same school district. Like I think it's the Lower Merion School District, and they only get to play once a year because Harriton's on the 5A side and Lower Merion's on the 6A. So they only play once a year. So big game. I think Van pitched last Monday, so I'd imagine he'll probably pitch. He'll probably want the ball in this rivalry game as well. Speaking of great rivalries, we got the Haverford School at Malvern Prep, the brand new Malvern Prep turf. That's a Tuesday matchup for first place in the Interact. I mean, they're both 2-0 right now. I'd imagine we're probably getting Tate Davis and Ian White Jr. So Louisville commit versus East Carolina. Obviously, that won't be the game of the week. We'll get Haverford on and some Interact games throughout the year. But, this is probably the best pitching matchup of a Delco team this year. Like Luke and Gavin was a great matchup, but Haig and Ian White is fantastic. And I think that's with the the Interact stakes. Like winner's the only 3-0 team in the conference.
Yeah. I mean, we got two. I guess ECU isn't Power 5, but I mean they're a top 25 program every year. So like two Power Division 1 arms.
I mean, I would consider East Carolina better than any Big Ten team. So
they're better than probably just the Big Ten actually. But they're probably better than any Big Ten team.
Exactly.
But, dude, like just two legit, college dudes going, or two legit college dudes going up against each other. That's gonna be a really fun one. Haverford and Malvern never disappoints either. That's always,
that's state championship rematch from 22, and the bitter rivalry. So I'm excited to see that. One game on here that I wouldn't really consider a rivalry, but I just think Marple Newtown at Garnet on Wednesday is gonna be so much fun because they're two teams that can just swing the bat, and they're more offense based than defense, than pitching and defense based. That just feels like a game to me, especially when they're on their second game of the week. Like that just feels like it could be like a 13-11, like 3 home runs, a slugfest.
We're due for one too. I don't think we really we've gotten some really good pitchers duels. I don't think we've gotten like a real good slugfest yet.
I don't think 14-9 game, Testoga and Lower Merion, like that's one, but we haven't seen multiple guys going 4 for 4 with a slugfest on both sides for sure. Another good game as we mentioned, Strath Haven and Lower Merion will be on Thursday. That'll be each of their third games of the week. So two teams that we've talked about how much we like their pitching depth, it's really going to be tested
Oh,
on your
true.
third game of the week, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's going to be, and it's weird because like there's a very real chance that that's for first place in the Central League too, and you're getting your team on your third game of the week, just like probably so tired. But I mean, that's kind of that's one of the things you deal with playing for high school is you especially with pitch counts now, like you're gonna have your depth is gonna get tested. So we're gonna see with both those teams.
Yeah, and this is where coaching comes in, knowing how to utilize guys. Like if you have a guy that throws on Monday to be able to get him back Thursday, like maybe not starting, like whatever it may be. But yeah, that's a good week coming ahead. Anybody will hopefully see you at Bonner. Which I would like to add one thing real quick to all the people that entered the City Connect raffle. I want to make this clear. Bonner is not a city, guys. I love the enthusiasm. Drexel Hill is a city. So when I saw that, I had posted comment. I think I said baseball town. If you want to say like which school has like the best baseball community, and you want to say Bonner, I won't argue that.
For sure, yeah. But I don't think they were necessarily wrong, but it wasn't
no. It's just like I just remember I was reading all the answers of and they must have been all together because I swear in the span of like 30 seconds, like 8 of them commented, and they all just said Bonner, and I'm like Bonner's not a town, but I love it.
Right.
Just Drexel Hill, yeah, but yeah, no,
keep commenting. We like the engagement.
Yeah. Oh, it was awesome, and we'll have a nice. Hopefully, we'll keep grinding. Get a 4K, giveaway as well. But
for sure.
Until then, we'll take it day by day, and hope you guys do as well. We got a fun week ahead. We'll be back in studio. I believe we're going Friday nights. We won't be able to talk about any games on Saturday. Don't believe any conference games are on Saturday this week anyway, barring any makeups. But as always, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe down below. If you haven't yet, make sure to grab a City Connect t-shirt to rep your favorite team, favorite players, and help us pay our studio fees, most importantly. But as always, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next time.